Okay, well, hopefully this works. I've never used this version of the software before, but, we'll figure this out. So we're looking for... I apologize in advance for the choppiness of the video. I was putting it into Banana, and I procrastinated, so I didn't get the chance to do that, which was unfortunate, because that would have been much more convenient. I will be doing that in the future, which kind of takes a bit, but I'll figure it out eventually. And yeah, other than that, let's get going. I'll show you guys what's going on here and what I think we could do a little bit better next time. Okay, so I'm going to full screen this because that seems more convenient. So I get this cheeky fire strike. We eat this, which is really good. So that's just good. It's pretty unlucky that we get hit by these retarded spawn arrows. I don't know if that's like a normal thing. I find that super annoying and unlucky. But yeah, so they get a free kill on that, which is, real fun and interactive. I love this video game. Okay, so looking at Genji doing a little bit of poke here. What I don't understand about this situation is Genji goes over here and he, does this whole deflect thing to, search for information. And then Monkey waddles across. I guess you're trying to set up for a dive, which I guess makes sense. So you're trying to set up this dive on the Zenyatta over here, which is pretty logical, I guess. Yeah, okay. So far we're doing okay. All this poking with no deflects concerns me a little bit. It's not the end of the world because the Hanzo doesn't kill you, but he could have very easily. Well, not easily, obviously, but it could have happened, and that would have been super bad. So we jump in here, and I don't know why. So essentially, the reason this doesn't work is because there's a few reasons. Number one, Genji and D.Va are out of sync, or Winston and D.Va are out of sync. Excuse me. So Monkey goes in, right? And so let's slow this down a little bit. I don't think I can. Let me see if I can slow this down. I can't slow this down. Unlucky. But so we're looking at this, and Monkey jumps in, and then D.Va starts her jetpack as Monkey's halfway through the air, and at this point, this is just super bad because Winston needs this D.Va to body block for him, especially with Hanzo Brigitte on their team, because, balanced characters. But, yeah, that's just kind of super unfortunate. I think you guys will get a better feel for this just as you play together. But that's a little bit unlucky that we get desynced here. And then because of that, Monkey lands. He's actually doing okay right now. Then he just gets jumped on and just fucked. And D.Va's going for damage here instead of trying to protect her Winston. Which obviously when you jump in you kind of need the D.Va damage when you don't have a tracer, but Winston just gets fucked, man. He just gets destroyed because he's just getting blasted by Zenyatta and Hanzo, and he really needs a lot more of this Matrix than he's getting, which is pretty unlucky. But he just hops in and he's just look at all this just burst. It's just super unfortunate. He just gets dogpiled on and just killed. But I think that you guys were a little bit out of sync there. I don't have audio for this game. I'll show you. I don't have audio, so that's pretty unlucky. I don't know if that was... I don't think that was anybody's fault necessarily. I just think that you guys kind of haven't played very much together. Genji getting this kill on Mercy is actually super poggers. But I mean, that's just kind of unfortunate that Monkey dies that quick, because that is what the meta is. One thing that I'm a little confused about and don't necessarily understand is I don't really get why this isn't a tracer. I don't know if you explained that in the game audio. It's been a minute since I've been in game, so I haven't necessarily been able to like work with that very much, which is pretty unlucky. I don't remember if that how that was discussed and how that was rationalized. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of this pick, because it's like, it's just so not great. Like, the resets are obviously really nice, but I don't understand like why this is Genji over Tracer, because like, sure, you have the blade for the second fight, but you have to dodge like one cooldown, and Tracer does so much more. I feel like, I don't know, maybe we're worried about Hanzo damage, but Genji dies the Hanzo damage roughly equivalently. Takes one extra shot, boo-hoo. I don't know how it, like, there's a lot of things about this dive comp I'm not a huge fan of, not the least of which being the Brigitte. I don't know if you guys know this, but jamming the broken hero into compositions where you can't necessarily run the broken hero if she wasn't broken is not great. Because like, look at where, like, watch where the Brigitte is this whole time, and watch like where the team fight is actually taking place. Like, the engagement is here. This is what we care about. And the Brigitte is just kind of stuck over here because she has no mobility. So I don't necessarily like this Brigitte pick, just because you're kind of down a man on the engage because she doesn't have the mobility to keep up with your other characters. Some things I think we could consider running instead are, like, Junkrat would be okay, Hanzo would be okay, Doomfist would be okay, Tracer would obviously be pretty okay. Like, there's a lot of things you can run in this slot instead of the Brigitte, and I worry that you guys get too fixated on what the meta is, and are like, oh, well, Brigitte's broken, so we should probably just play that, and it's not always necessarily the best choice in a team comp. So if you guys want to run dive, like, because dive isn't meta, you kind of have to make these considerations of, well, do we actually want this character? You know, are we going to be able to kind of take this slow enough that she can keep up, right? And that's the concern. And I think the answer to that is no. So I don't think it's correct to run the Brigitte here. I think a character that more effectively keeps up with the dive characters, or has more value in shelling damage in from a distance, like the Hanzo, is just a better pick in the slot. So, yeah. We lose this because dive has a really low margin for error, and we make two relatively small mistakes, because if we get this Brigitte set up, she's sick, so I kind of understand the mentality, but we make two very small mistakes. Not having Matrix on the monkey immediately as he goes in, and letting him get bursted down by this, or just not having Matrix for the Zen Hanzo as he lands, and him just dying to Zen Hanzo bullshit, and also kind of running this Brigitte and not really like taking team fights with her in mind. Like, between those two things, we fuck up enough that because dive has such a low margin for error on this patch, then we lose this team fight. So that's pretty unlucky. We just kind of, from here, it's just kind of clean up. This kill here was really awesome. But unfortunately they have a shield tank. We do not. And Genji over here gets 2v1'd anyway, which is pretty unfortunate. So we just kind of get bodied, and we have to reset. And upon this not working, we swap to, what do we switch to? We switch to like Hanzo, Reinhardt, if I remember correctly. So obviously his team comp works relatively well. Swapping out the Diva for the Zarya has several implications. Number one, you have a little bit more defensive ability, and you have much more ability to answer their ranged characters. You have much more ability to answer and control their high ground. Whereas with the Zarya, you have superior brawling potential. So basically, what we want to do with this team comp is kind of take things a little bit slower and try to capitalize on the defensive value from the D.Va that they're not necessarily getting on the Zarya pick, which is much more greedy. Our ult fight is a bit weaker, unless you get like super poggers bombs like the first one we get here, but that's kind of okay. So what this is really looking to do is leverage its additional defensive value compared to this in the mid fight, and try to win out from there. I think it's less good, but this D.Va bomb is sick, so I think it works out okay. Now this fight, D.Va jumps up here to try to back up the Hanzo, which is pretty decent. And let's see. How does this play out? So D.Va's like clearing here off in space on her own. And I think at this point we need to be like hard pushing through the door to try to help our D.Va. I think that this is pretty fine because you're taking some damage for this Hanzo to let him kind of do this more aggressive maneuver, but this just isn't great. Like, you're running off for this Mega, which I understand, but you've left your teammates in a 5v6 engagement without an off tank, which is really important. So that's pretty unfortunate that we don't have an OT for this fight. I think this was just a poor decision. Bullying this Hanzo is actually pretty okay, but losing the mech for it, like, if you'd come back to your teammates and let Mercy heal you up instead of like jumping over here and going for this mega health back, you still could have disrupted this Hanzo very effectively, and also not lost your mech for it, which would have been really awesome. But we don't do that. We lose our mech instead, which is kind of unfortunate. And then we get Grav Dragoned. They have damage boost. We pop Trank into it, and we lose. Because that's how this meta game works. This poor Zenyatta just gets so fucked. Getting out of there with your life is actually really awesome. Yeah. So we're going to go at it again. Let's see. How does this go? Oh yeah, this is this fight. So we get this early pick on their Hanzo, which is really good. And then D.Va goes for this play. And she unfortunately does not get the play. And then our front line's super weak because Valentino has to contend with 3 characters when he only has... He essentially has to contend with 3 frontline characters where he only has himself and the Bree to frontline, which means he's going to lose this like frontline engagement a lot of the time. And also we lose our off tank on the back, which sucks a lot. So this happens. And like, jumping in for this play isn't necessarily incorrect, but if you're going to do this, right? Like, D.Va jumps in here and gets set up to help the Hanzo, which is really good. Getting set up on that high ground to try to chase down a low frag that the Hanzo gets, like a low character that the Hanzo hits with like a couple of body shots or something, is very powerful. Because just getting to chase that down and kill it, if your team's playing more aggressively, is just incredible value, because you can kill something that wouldn't otherwise be dead and then protect it from and protect your frag from the Mercy res, which is really good. Unfortunately, the way this turns out is we get the frag, and then let me see here. How does this play out? Like, we kind of just don't aggress. Like, we're forced to just kind of sit here and just kind of putts in very, very slowly. And as a result of that, Hanzo gets rezzed, and we lose our D.Va car. So I don't think this is necessarily hit queue's fault. I don't think this is necessarily everyone else's fault. I think if you guys want to play this in the future, instead of this Zenyatta, you should probably have a Lucio. So you can capitalize on these frags like this. Because essentially what you want to do is you want to capitalize on D.Va's superior ability to chase down frags in the back, and you want to capitalize on her defensive ability, which means that you want to be just in general more aggressive, so that, and you want to be more aggressive and you want to be able to capitalize more aggressively on these kind of frags here, where if as soon as we get this frag, right, if as soon as we get this kill, then we say, oh shit, okay, we gotta go, and we just jam speed boost in their face. And as the Mercy's going back to res this target, then we're jamming speed boost on their front line, so she doesn't really want to do this anyway, because she's going to lose frontline characters. And if D.Va jumps in and gets this frag here, which is just mechanical stuff, like, I can't very much help you with that, unfortunately. So if we jump in and we get this Mercy, or D.Va's kind of just camping this, and Mercy doesn't want to even try to go for it, then a lot of the times we win this fight if we're just if we're speeding in through choke, and so if we're speeding in through choke and we're aggressing heavily onto their frontline characters and kind of booping their Brigitte away and getting this Reinhardt, kind of stuff like that, and we're protecting this corpse, then they don't have a Hanzo, and we're aggressing on the front line. We do have a Hanzo, so we have much more shield break available to us, and we have a D.Va in their back line. Then a lot of times I think we win this fight, but because we don't commit to anything, because D.Va just kind of goes out on her own and tries to go for this play, and no one else is really available to back her up, then we lose this fight kind of just because of that. So really what we needed to do there, instead of trying to half-ass this D.Va pick, is we needed to commit to this instead of just being like, oh, well, we can just run the D.Va and not really change anything about either D.Va's playstyle or our playstyle in response to that pick. So, just not changing that up and assuming you can run the meta comp the same way with a different character in the off-tank slot is not good. And now we're looking for this fight. This dragon is okay as a zoning tool. In order to capitalize on this, we need to press this Rhine really hard, and we can't necessarily do that because we don't have speed boost. And they also zone that off with this dragon of theirs, which is good by them. And then we get this bomb, and this is a dank bomb. Let me see. Where's the dank bomb? I can't skip. And also see the dank bomb. Oh, there's the dank bomb. Look at this shit. Oh, look at those limbs. Oh, that's that good. So we get 2 kills on the in. We get 2 kills as we're going in just for free because the D.Va bomb is lit. So we throw this in over the top, and they're not looking out for it at all because they just don't care about the D.Va bombs right now for some reason, and they all die, and 2 of them die. And as a result of that, we just get to aggress and win the fight from there. So all this is just basically clean up from here. I do actually kind of like this Tranquility because it keeps the Tranks on similar cooldowns. I think it's not strictly necessary. I think it's fine. Especially just to secure this fight to make 110% sure we get it. Because we pop it, here, right? So we're up, we're up 1 character and we have Resurrect in a 5v4. So it's not, the most amazing ultimate, but I think it's fine. Especially considering they don't have anything scary that you can hold Trank for effectively. Because Hanzo Dragon just shoots through it. So that's kind of unfortunate. Then we get this huge stagger on the Zenyatta, which is just nuts. Really what we should be doing here is pressing more characters forward. And I think the best way to do that is get this D.Va set up on a flank and probably get the Zen like moving in closer, because Zen kind of takes forever to get anywhere. And Brigitte has at least, well, maybe you want, I don't know. There's like, basically you don't want to have 5 characters on the point. You want to have 3 characters on the point because it moves at the same speed. And if you have 3 characters that have at least some mobility and 3 characters that have none, then just leave the 3 characters that have some kind of mobility on the point, and then like try to push forward and get set up for the next fight, so that way you can have everyone in closer sooner and try to capitalize more on the stagger. But we kill him again anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. But 5 on the point is just overkill and unnecessary. D.Va going in first is not my favorite. I guess she's trying to, I don't know where this corpse is, honestly. Like, I don't know where their Zen is, like, at all, because my camera work is bad. Like, I can't see their Zenyatta from here. I don't know if that's on the objective or what. I don't know why this D.Va's on the point at this time. But losing this D.Va car on the engage is pretty unfortunate. We get this huge shatter on it, so that's pretty good. And we have res, so it's like not the end of the world, but Ryan dies while we're trying to res that, so that's pretty unfortunate. Like, I don't know if we had other healing cooldowns we could have thrown onto him. I don't know what happened there, but I mean, kind of, if he had Mercy Beam, he definitely would have lived. I don't know if he actually would have. I think he would have. Let's see. Let's watch. Find out. Okay, so he's alive and then just dies. Yeah, I think. I mean, there's some argument for Brigitte E could have saved him. There's also some argument for maybe Mercy Beam saves him sometimes. I think that was just unlucky, honestly. I'm not really sure how that occurred, but having to burn this res before Valentino dies to resurrect D.Va that did essentially nothing but distract the enemy team and set up for a shatter is not my favorite thing in the world. And now the shield tank comes back in. They have a Reinhardt. We do not, and we get this. They get this fat Grav Dragon off, and at that point we just kind of have to reset. D.Va is not working hard enough to get out, which is unfortunate. Losing that extra time is really unlucky, but it doesn't do that much for our time bank, I don't think. So we have Bomb now. D.Va goes to this flank play on the left again, if I remember correctly. I don't know if I'm a fan of that or not. So, like, our off-tank is down mid, kind of by herself. Which, generally speaking, you probably shouldn't. So I don't think I'm a huge fan of the flank D.Va. I mean, you're setting up for Bomb, so that kind of makes it better. But at the same time, if you're there to burst, if you're there to throw infinite shotgun ammo into the Rhine Shield, then the Rhine Shield goes down faster, and you get a bomb sooner. So I think it's actually just better for you to be up top rather than being in this slot here. Because especially, like, with the way they're set up and the way that we're looking to come in here, they could swap this Hanzo for a Junkrat very easily and just farm us up here because we don't have speed boost and we don't have a way to protect against the Junkrat's damage without the D.Va there. So if we're doing this and they've swapped the Junkrat and they've swapped any of their characters to Junkrat, we lose this fight automatically. It's not always something you need to take into consideration, especially because they seem to be really wanting to play only this team comp, but it's worth keeping in mind, especially for the future. I don't think this play is good at all. I think this is a very solo queue play, which isn't great, especially in an organized environment, but let's keep going. I'm also not a huge fan of that. Moving in there before your Rhine Shield is in position is not good. It's just not. Like, I understand you're looking for this flank, but moving in there before your Rhine Shield cost you your life. It cost us this Resurrect, which could have been used on, like, a shield tank later on. So that's just bad, I think. And, like, I'm not a fan of this D.Va just chilling down here waiting for this bomb. It's just not good. Because, like, we throw this bomb in and then you miss and it does, like, nothing. Whereas you could have spent this entire time shotgunning into them, eating. You could have spent this whole time shotgunning into Rhine Shield to shut down Rhine Shield and defense matrixing your Hanzo to try to make sure he gets that flank off and, you know, doing other stuff that's more valuable than just like, okay, guys, I'm waiting for my D.Va bomb. You don't always have to set up for, like, a huge Poggers 3-man D.Va bomb when you have bomb. Especially in this kind of situation, where your tanks are looking to brawl and you have inferior brawl potential. You want to be kind of in the fight helping your tanks at least a little bit, so that Ryan can kind of put his shield down and hit stuff without worrying about other characters dying behind him because he knows Matrix is up and jumping on their squishy targets and, you know, defense matrixing your range characters and, like, doing stuff that's more valuable than essentially just being AFK in mid. So we get this kill on the main tank, which is nuts. That's a huge play. We get all these kills on the front end, and we lose Venom to, I think, just a lucky Hanzo shot. Honestly. Like, I don't know how we lose Venom. Where is Venom? There's Venom. Okay. So Venom's, like, going over the dragon, and he gets blasted, which, like, is just unlucky, I think. It's not necessarily something you should be planning for, so I think that's fine. We lose Venom there. That's just really unfortunate. There's an argument for him staying closer to his tanks. This Trank is fine because it's overtime. And essentially, from this point, we press Q and they press Q harder, and they press Q harder, so... you know, it's just, there's just not much you can do in this situation, right? If they have, like, I don't know. We have, like, roughly equivalent tools going into this, I think. Yeah, we have, like, give or take all the same ultimates going into this engage. They have a little bit more. Like, we're actually an ult up on them, which is this D.Va bomb that we burn, and then from this point forward, we have the same ultimates. So essentially, from here, their ults get more value. Their dragon isn't much better, but their Trank is a lot better, because Frost just gets bursted, which is super unfortunate. And I think this was trying to save the D.Va car, and he just doesn't get there in time. Which, if that's something that happens to you consistently, that might be worth looking into. From what I remember of the rest of this series, that wasn't an issue that wasn't an issue that came up very often. I felt that most of your Tranks were relatively well timed. This one just seemed to be unfortunate rather than indicative of a larger problem. But if that's something that you feel like happens to you a lot, where you miss on something, then maybe that's worth looking into as far as like something to drill on. But we both get shattered. We both get nothing out of it. I also don't understand. Um, if we get this shatter off, I don't understand this counter shatter because we still got multiple seconds left of tranquility, so we don't necessarily have to shut down this Reinhardt now. Like, what if we still had this? What if we still had this Earth Shatter like right here, and we just slammed like, I don't know, these three or the Zenyatta and like killed something here? I think we still lose because their respawn advantage is so much better, but it would have been a lot closer than it was. So, I mean, the reason that I picked this is because this is the only map that you guys lost. And I think the reason that this was not a successful map for us was because you guys were really set on the quote unquote meta comp, playing the meta comp quote unquote correctly, and didn't really consider how specifically this diva pick affected your playstyle, and you just kind of slammed the broken character all the time into a situation where she specifically wouldn't have worked very well because you guys were looking to play faster than she allows for. But yeah, that's kind of just my thoughts on the situation. Overall, I think you guys played incredibly well. I just think that, like, I feel like I pointed out a lot of things about hit queue. I can't remember your Discord name. I'm sorry, but that, like, none of that's necessarily your fault. Like, a lot of the stuff you were going for was really good if you have a more high mobility comp with like a Lucio, or if you have dive tanks or something where you're looking to play a little more fast and hit them a little harder than just kind of moseying through the choke and winning the frontline battle. And I think it was a combination of just not hitting plays that you went for that were good, that for whatever reason you just didn't hit, and also partially the team not adapting the meta comp to the playstyle necessitated by the change in off tank, because I don't know if you know, but off tanks are kind of important in this video game. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. Besides this map, you guys did poggers, and I'm excited to see how we do going forward. So yeah, that's that.